Hi guys, this is Rodrigo from DJ Tech Zone, and today I'm really happy to be reviewing the Numark NSX2 DJ controller, the update of the very popular, almost legendary you can say, NS6 DJ controller from back in the days. About time for Numark to update this controller with a new version, because the NS6 was really starting to age a lot. NSX2 is a whole new controller. It's very far from what the original NS6 was. It's an innovative controller in my view, with a lot of functions you don't find on other DJ controllers and that you find on other Numark controllers, however, but not controllers of other brands. It has a lot of nice cool features. It integrates very well with Serato DJ and now of course with Serato DJ Pro. And yeah, it's a great DJ controller in my view. It's a great piece of gear. I have some issues with it, a few small things, we will get to them in the review. So the Numark NSX2 is a 4-channel DJ controller and it's priced at around $800. You can find more pricing details and buying links in the description below or in the review, in the full review on djtechzone.com. So be sure to click. Also, might I say, be sure to subscribe to the channel because as you can see, we are putting out a lot of reviews, a lot of content out there. So you don't want to miss anything. Be sure to hit the bell as well when you subscribe so you get notified when I put up new videos. The NSX2 controller from Numark, a 4-channel DJ controller with a very nice special feature is the built-in LCDs in the jog wheels that show you quite a bit of information. Now, this used to be a new thing back when Numark did it with the Mixtrack Platinum that I reviewed last year. Now Pioneer has kind of taken over the idea, copied with pride, and implemented also LCD screen in their joggles for the DDJ 1000. Although there is much more information than here. There you also have waveforms implemented into it, so it's kind of almost a full CDJ, mini CDJ display in the jog wheel. Here it's a bit more limited, but still you get a lot of information in the jog wheel. We'll review what it is as we use it, as we review it. We will look at it what it is, and it's really nice. For me, it's a real improvement because it allows you to focus, as I said for the Numark Platinum, focus on your DJ controller and not on your laptop screen. Another thing that the NSX2 has very well implemented is all the buttons to switch between different areas of the software, and so that you don't need to go to your mouse or to your trackpad to change the views in Serato as you are playing, as you need to change them for whatever reason. The buttons are all there, so we will go through them in the review as well. Let's dive in. Let's start with those nice decks on the NSX2. So for the effects, a very nice first thing that I want to point out is the touch effects button. If you click it once, if you press it once, you activate the touch effects, and what it happens then is when you apply effect, you can apply effect by simply touching the knobs. This is not something new. The NS6, the NV had always this feature, but it's very handy here, and it's very cool because it allows you to, instead of really having to activate them, you simply touch them. It allows you to give small accents to your mix and to really have this touch and go effect trick that can be really nice when you're mixing and to accentuate something. If you press a second time, it blinks, and actually there also the EQ buttons become touch. And that's very nice to, you know, kill the bass at some point without touching the knobs. There is an additional advantage of this touch on the EQs that I will come back to later when we review the mixer. So apart from that, it's very traditional. You have the 3 knobs per effect, the 3 knobs per effect deck that you can activate, so you can activate up to 3 effects at the same time. You have the FX select used with the shift button, so it allows you to toggle through your effects in Serato and select the effect that you want to use. You have the beat selector knob also, and you can switch between effect mode, so manipulating 3 effects at the same time or 1 effect with more parameters. And that last button also serves as a tap button to manually set the tempo of the effect. That's one thing. The second thing that I want to note, it has nothing to do with the effects, but it has to do with one of the specific features of the NSX2, is the fact that you have the double USB input, so you can assign one part of the controller to one USB port and the other part to another port. You can do really easy DJ switchovers when you're playing back to back. You can really make smooth DJ switchovers with the 2 USB ports and by assigning one part of the controller to one computer and the other part to the other one at any specific time. That's pretty nice to have that feature. You have, as I said, the TouchFX button, also the slip button here on the side. Again, as always, slip button is handy when you want to do tricks on the playing track. And so forth. You have a deck switch button. You can toggle between the 4 decks in Serato DJ. Underneath you have a touch strip which allows you to quickly go through your track and find that specific point that you want on your track, and that works pretty well. It's nice to have a touch strip on a DJ controller. It's always easy for me if you have to quickly move to a certain part of the track and you don't have, for example, hot cue set up to do it. Much easier than to use the jog wheel. Then, of course, the big attraction on this controller is the jog wheel. It's a large jog wheel, actually, larger than the one on the Mixtrack Platinum. And of course you have that middle section with all your information. So as you can see, if I put it on, you can see the needle position, you can see the track progression, which is pretty cool. Apart from that, you have the BPM, the time left on the track, the pitch range, and the key that your track is in, which is a lot of information. And really, when you're mixing and you're trying to beat match, or you're looking at your BPMs to match them, having that information really in front of your nose is pretty cool. I really like it, and I hope this is the standard for all future DJ controllers. If you don't build in a full screen with waveforms, at least use the space in your jog to provide meaningful information to the DJ. Anything that can keep you concentrated on your DJing and not on your computer is a good thing in my book. Next to that, we have the absolutely great pitch fader. This is the way pitch faders have to be implemented. It feels like a pitch fader on a turntable. It's full size, it has this decent weight to it, so you don't move too fast, or you don't you can really do precise beat matching. You have the center indicator that gives you a clear indication when you are at the center point of your pitch fader. This is a perfect pitch fader for me for a DJ controller, and only for this I really recommend the Numark NSX2 to any serious DJ that wants to beat match their tracks, or wants to learn or beat matches a lot. Moving on from that, I really need to maybe go back to the jog wheel, because I didn't really say everything I wanted to say about it. The jog wheel, as I said, it has a nice height to it, so for bending it's really easy. Nothing comes in the way, and although it's well weighted, it's also quite loose, so you can do spin backs, decent spin backs without too many problems. We move to the bottom of the deck, where we have all the performance pad stuff implemented. What I like here is that you don't have to use the shift button to call the secondary functions. If you want to toggle between, for example, cues and cue loops, you just press the second time, it will blink, and there you are in cue loop mode. Same for the auto loop feature. Press one time, you're in auto loop mode. Press the second time, you're in roll mode. You also have a manual loop mode when you can simply manually select your loop and go out of it. Following option is the sampler, where you can activate your samples very easily and launch them up. And then lastly you have your slicer option, where you can apply slicers, and you can always change parameters with the parameter button to change the loop size of the size of the slicer. That's a nice size. And so forth. So you can also use the pitch and time feature of Serato DJ, and to access that you have to have the plugin, of course. It's an extra, and you can access it by pressing Shift and Sampler, and then you can play around with your cues and switch the key of your cues dynamically, like this.
Take the bass line out. Take the bass line out.
Cue and play button. These are mirror decks, as you can see. So all the controls are on the opposite side, on the opposite deck. So you have to get used to it. It's very easy. I like that approach for the pitch faders because they are on the outside, so easily reachable. You don't have to reach inside. But you do have to reach inside for your playing cue button, so there is always a trade-off, and that's maybe something you have to get used to. But to me, it's like it's just, you know, a little bit of getting used to, and that comes really quickly. Those are the decks of the NSX2. Quality, super good. I like the pads, rubberized pads. They feel good. They are really responsive. The overall quality of the controller is also pretty good, with a metal faceplate, with a decent weight as well. You have these two bars to protect the front of the controller. I really like the format. This is solid. It gives you some leeway and some space, some security, that these knobs will not be hurt in any way. And everything really feels well built. The knobs feel well built. Everything feels really well built. Now, when we go to the mixer, then I have to point out my first, let's say, slight disappointment with this controller is really, maybe you see it when I'm using it, is that there is so little space between these knobs, is that I constantly am touching other knobs when manipulating them, and that can even hurt. I mean, I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, but you really scratch the other knobs because there is so little space. It's not the case here. Here is on the effects section there is enough room, but when it goes to the mixer there is so little space, and that's too bad. It's a shame, and it's good to have the touch effects because then I can take the EQ out without actually having to turn them. So that's good to have that. It's, you know, it's a workaround if you want to be able to use it more efficiently. But it's so bad that that Numark didn't manage to create a more spacious mixer, even though many of the controller on the bottom plate still there is a lack of space here. That's too bad. And if you have small fingers, then I guess you will not see that problem. If you have bigger fingers like mine, well, it will certainly annoy you. But the trade-off is, and the positive side of this is, that you really have a lot of controls on top of the mixer to basically switch between all the different views in Serato DJ. That's pretty nice. As you can see, my screen changing. You have the back button there. You have the different areas. You have the preparation, so to launch the preparation list, and you have even more features under the shift button for sorting your tracks by BPM, by song, by key, and by artist. So that's pretty neat in my book to have all that, because again, like the jog wheels, it allows you to steer away your gaze from the laptop and keep it firmly on the controller. The browse button is very decent. It's a good big endless rotary encoder, and it feels very good. I really like it. Booth and master are on the sides. It's a trademark Numark thing to have them here. The booth and the master button, they are clearly marked in red, so you cannot. So I like the fact that they are separated, because you cannot confuse yourself with other knobs when using them. Every channel has a 3-band EQ, a gain, and a nice big filter button. And in addition, you have also what Numark calls filter roll and filter FX. If I press once, it's too loud. You see that? You have this cool filter roll being activated at the same time as I activate my filter, and you can actually also have filter FX. So the filter FX, what the filter FX is going to do, is going to activate a nice delay with my filter, which is also pretty neat to have that integrated. So you have Touch FX and Touch O, and Filter Roll, Filter FX, which are really additional effects possibilities on this mixer, and it's pretty cool. So the channels 3 and 4 are capable to work with external equipment, so you can activate them, you can set them to line, and then you can plug in your turntables or your media players. Also, this mixer is DVS enabled. You can use it with Serato DVS as well on those channels. The 2 inner channels are strictly software channels, which makes a lot of sense. Cue buttons, small cue buttons, and pretty cool faders. A bit too loose to my taste. I like them. I would love to see faders that are more like the pitch fader with a little bit more weight on them, but they're fine. And of course, a replaceable crossfader that is pretty loose and pretty nice to use, pretty nice to operate. Let's look at what is on the front panel of the mixer and see what we find there. So on the front panel of the NSX2 we have controls for 2 mix inputs. We have a small EQ, low, high and level for each microphone input, which is pretty nice to have that. We have also crossfader contour control, and then on the other side we have the headphone control, we have the mix setting, we have the gain setting and the 2 inputs, and also a split cue to off or on, which is so cool to have. So few controllers have split cue settings on the controller, and this one has it. Again, for mobile DJs, it's a dream setup. 2 headphones, split cue, 4 channels, DVS, LCD screens on the jog wheels, all that goodness for $800. I would argue that this is the cheaper alternative to a DDJ 1000 from Pioneer. Very similar setup, missing a few things right in there, but if you want to have kind of the same experience as a DDJ 1000, minus a few details on the LCD screens in the middle, this one is a good alternative, a really good alternative, and it's $800 compared to the $1,200 of the DJI 1000. Of course, DJI 1000 has other super cool features that this one doesn't have, but if you're looking for such a setup and you don't have that budget, this might be the thing. On the back, we have, from left to right, we have the power cable, we have the 2 USB inputs, then we have the inputs for the channel 3 and 4. You can switch between line and phono for those inputs. That's pretty nice. You have on the other side the two TRS microphone inputs. You have the booth and the master RCA, and the booth is in RCA as well, unfortunately, so we have no TRS for the booth or XLR, but we do have a balanced output for the master, which is the master output, which is pretty cool. So we can say that NSX2 is pretty well equipped, apart from the DEC features and the mixer features, a professional array of inputs and outputs on the back. Again, for that price, it's a pretty good deal. So what do I think of the NSX2? A worthy successor of the original NSX, for sure. If you're a Numark fan, if you're a fan of the original controller, you want to upgrade, don't hesitate to go ahead. You will not be disappointed. This is a work beast. This is a controller that you can bring to the club and don't have to feel like you're playing on a toy. One of my things with the Numark NV was that it looked very cool. I liked the screens and everything, but it was so tiny, small, and it really had this toyish feeling about it that when you show up with it at the club, maybe you would not be taken seriously. No risks with the NSX2. This is a solid piece of gear. It feels solid, it looks solid, it looks professional, it sounds great, it has a powerful, punchy output, and it's well built. So a huge recommendation. And by the way, this controller is my #1 favorite controller, mid-range controller of the moment, in my full comparison of all mid-range controllers on the market today. And it's justified, definitely justified, because this is truly for me the best mid-range controller out there at the moment, and the competition is very, very, very tough. Recommendable, nice materials, nice build. So Digitexon definitely recommends the Numark NSX2. I hope you liked my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it enough to subscribe to our channel if you're not a subscriber. And if you subscribe, please make sure that you click the little bell to get notifications when the reviews go up. If you have comments, put them below. I will try to get back to as many comments as I can, but I do read them all, I do look at them all, and I learn from them. Thank you, and see you next time.